Good afternoon, I'm Paramedic Hutchinson here at Station 37 on A Crew, and we are here to talk to you about hand tools and maintenance of hand tools. So I'm going to show some of the major hand tools that we have on the engines. We have our prying tools, our striking tools, and our cutting tools. And we're going to go over things you should and should not do with each of these tools. In the IFSA manual it states things like axe heads should not be painted because it hides defects in the metal. It also will cause binding while trying to cut surfaces. So we're actually going to demonstrate cleaning these up, taking the paint off, and properly maintaining them with some machine oil like they're supposed to be done. And then we'll go through these tools also and check out the edges and clean them up as well if they need to be done. So we're going to take these over to the tool shop and start there. I'm going to touch a little bit more on painting the tools, especially any kind of prying or cutting tool. The ends of these shouldn't really be painted because the paint just chips off. It creates more of a binding effect once they get into spaces that we're trying to get them into, and then also that causes them to stick. A handle like this on the bolt cutters, that could be okay to paint. Just make sure not to paint any of the working part of the bolt cutter, which would hinder the operation of it. But if you want to touch up these handles, that'd be okay. Same with the sledgehammer. If you want to paint this guy, go ahead, knock yourself out. That's not going to do anything to this, but avoid these other tools. This is obviously what the axe looks like when it's painted. It actually makes it look worse once the paint starts to get chipped off and scraped and everything. Plus, it hides any defects in the axe. If it were to have a crack in it, a burr, or a splinter or something, it's a little harder to see. So we're going to go ahead and remove this paint from this axe, clean it up with one of the wire wheels that we have in every station should have one in their toolbox with the drill. We're going to clean it up, and then after that we'll sharpen the tool and demonstrate how that's done as well. Alright, so this is what our pick head axe looks like now that we've removed all the paint. And again, we just used this grinder with the metal oil on it to do it. It was pretty quick. It took about 5 minutes. And it looks a lot fetching better now. So the next step is to sharpen the edge. So we're going to walk over here to this grinder, sharpen it. So actually you don't want to use a grinder. Those get going too fast, they create too much heat, and they actually weaken the edge. So we're going to use our hand grinder for this. And the way you want to do it is you want to go with the cut edge, just like sharpening a knife. So you don't want to pull it down this way, you actually want to go across it this way. And make sure to do both sides equally. Doesn't matter if you do it like this or like this, but don't pull towards the sharp edge. And then a big thing about the edges is we don't want them too sharp, because then they get brittle and they break easy. When you're cutting through like a floorboard with nails on it, they'll chip the edges and that kind of stuff. And you don't want them too blunt, because then they won't cut. So you got to find that right width that they'll do what you want them to do. So we're going to take a minute and sharpen this up. Now that we have our axe cleaned, well, the paint taken off and the edge sharpened, we're now going to clean it. So we're just going to clean it with a mild soap. So we're just going to use our dish soap, and you can use a brush or just a sponge pad with the abrasive side on it. Just kind of clean it up. We're going to get all this gummy stuff off the handles here as best we can. It's not all going to come off, but just make it clean so it's not sticky and everything. And so we'll take a minute to do that. time to inspect your tool. Your hand tool is while you're cleaning it or maintaining it. Something you want to look for, especially on these striking tools, is make sure that the head is on the handle tight. There's no wiggle room. Check up here, make sure everything's seated nice and well. Some of these with the fiberglass handles will have a space here, and there's a washer type thing in here. There can be a little bit of a gap. That's okay as long as it is tight and not loose in there. Same thing with your sledgehammer. You're going to want to check that. You want to check the adze end and the pick end of these and just make sure, you know, because I have seen them come apart. They will over time with abuse. They'll start to come apart. Just make sure everything's nice and tight and there's no play in anything. So just a quick reminder. All right, now that we've inspected our axe, we've cleaned the axe, we've sharpened it, we do need to protect the metal on this so it doesn't start rusting again. Look around the stations, there's lots of stuff. There's this corrosion stop stuff that's meant for metals. WD-40 or machine oil will work great as well. So you just need to do a light coat, don't need to go crazy, but make sure you cover everywhere on these. And then just give it a good wipe that all over to help protect that metal so it doesn't rust. So when we're all done, this is what you should have. We're going to go through and do these to all the tools so they look like this. And then just also remember to do maintenance on these every time you use them. If you use these axes, bring them back to the station, check these cutting edges, make sure they're nice and sharp, ready to go for the next time.